Amara Nwoy had attended many weddings since moving to Seoul, but that evening felt different from the moment she stepped out of her apartment. She stood before the mirror longer than usual, adjusting the sleeves of her brown silk dress, smoothing invisible creases, steadying herself. 5 years in Korea had taught her resilience, but loneliness still found ways to slip through the cracks. The wedding invitation had come from people she once trusted deeply. Friends who had promised loyalty, community, and support when she first arrived as a stranger in a foreign land. Amara told herself this was just another celebration, another night she would smile politely and return home quietly. She had no idea that this night would dismantle her and remake her in ways she could never have imagined. The wedding hall in Gangnam shimmered with elegance. Soft lights reflected off crystal chandeliers, laughter echoed through the air, and the scent of expensive perfume mixed with fresh flowers. As Amara walked in, heels clicking softly against the marble floor, conversation slowed. Heads turned. The warmth she expected never came. Instead, there was a strange distance in the air, a subtle tension she could not immediately explain. She searched for the familiar faces she thought would welcome her, but people avoided her gaze, pretending to be busy, suddenly interested in their phones or in conversations that felt forced. Amara approached the seating area, scanning the tables for her name. She checked once. Then again. Her heart began to race. Thinking it was a simple mistake, she walked to the wedding coordinator and politely explained. The woman flipped through the list, her expression slowly shifting from neutral to uncomfortable. When she looked up, her smile was tight and rehearsed. Amara's name was not there. Not on any table. Not anywhere. Confusion quickly gave way to humiliation. The coordinator suggested she sit at the back, near the service area, as though Amara were an afterthought. In that moment, everything became painfully clear. She had not been forgotten. She had been intentionally excluded. People she had celebrated with, cried with, and supported had decided she no longer belonged. As guests passed by her, dressed in fine clothes and easy laughter, some recognized her. Their eyes met hers briefly before darting away. No one stopped. No one asked questions. Even the bride, someone Amara once considered a sister, walked past her without acknowledgement. The rejection cut deeper than words ever could. Amara excused herself and walked into the restroom, locking herself inside a stall. The tears came quickly, silently, as her body shook under the weight of betrayal. She pressed her hand against her mouth to keep from making a sound. She had sacrificed so much to build a life in Seoul, endured cultural barriers, isolation, and quiet discrimination. And yet, this deliberate erasure, hurt the most. After a few minutes, she wiped her tears, straightened her back, and looked at her reflection. She refused to beg for dignity. She refused to stay where she was not wanted. She left the hall quietly, the music and laughter fading behind her. Outside, the cool night air brushed against her skin, grounding her slightly. She took a deep breath, preparing to walk away and forget the night entirely, when a calm, unfamiliar voice stopped her. He asked if she was okay. Amara turned to see a tall man standing a short distance away. His presence was composed, his suit perfectly tailored, but there was something restless in his eyes. This was Kang Ji-hoon, a man whose name carried weight in Seoul's elite circles. A successful businessman, wealthy, respected, untouchable. Yet at that moment, he looked anything but untouchable. Amara assured him she was fine, though her voice betrayed her. Ji-hoon studied her quietly, sensing the lie but choosing not to press. Before either of them could speak again, a woman's voice sliced through the air, sharp and possessive. The woman approaching them was Yoon Seo-rin, Ji-hoon's ex-beautiful, competent, and dangerously observant. Her arm slipped around Ji-hoon's effortlessly, as though claiming territory. Her eyes landed on Amara, filled with thinly veiled contempt. She asked who Amara was. Ji-hoon hesitated. Just briefly. Then, without warning, he reached for Amara's hand and introduced her as his girlfriend. The word hung between them. Amara froze, stunned by the suddenness of it. Seoul's expression tightened, disbelief flashing across her face before she masked it with a brittle smile. She assessed Amara slowly, her gaze lingering with judgment, before delivering a thinly veiled warning about Ji-hoon's supposed inability to commit. Then she walked away, heels sharp against the pavement. The moment she disappeared, Amara pulled her hand back, anger flaring. Ji-hoon apologized immediately, admitting he had acted out of desperation. He explained that Seoul refused to accept their breakup and had been manipulating situations to force herself back into his life. Amara told him firmly that she was not a prop, not something to be used for convenience. Ji-hoon listened. Truly listened. Then he asked her for a chance to make it right. Over coffee in a quiet lounge, he explained his situation fully. If Seoul believed he had moved on, she would stop interfering. He needed someone convincing, someone real. And for reasons he could not quite explain, he believed Amara was the right person. She laughed at the absurdity of it all, a fake relationship between a billionaire and a woman who had just been humiliated at a wedding. Still, something in her was tired of being overlooked, tired of always shrinking herself. She agreed to the arrangement for 2 weeks. What neither of them anticipated was how easily the act would blur into reality. They spent time together under the guise of pretending. Public appearances. Dinners. Casual outings meant to sell the illusion. Yet in those moments, something genuine began to form. Ji-hoon discovered Amara's warmth, her humor, her quiet strength. She spoke of her childhood in Nigeria, of the courage it took to start over in a foreign country. Amara, in turn, saw beyond Ji-hoon's wealth. She saw a man burdened by expectations, by loneliness hidden behind luxury. They talked late into the night. Laughed more than they planned to. Touched accidentally, then intentionally. And somewhere along the way, Amara realized she was no longer pretending. She was falling. The illusion shattered when she overheard Ji-hoon describing the relationship as temporary. The word pierced her deeply. Temporary. Disposable. A role to be discarded once its purpose was served. Without confronting him, Amara packed her belongings and left. She chose herself over a love that might never be real. Ji-hoon returned to an empty space and felt the weight of his mistake. In trying to protect himself, he had hurt the one person who made him feel alive. 3 days later, he found Amara standing by the Han River, staring out at the water. He confessed everything, his fear, his regret, his love. He told her that what began as a lie had become the truest thing in his life. Amara listened, tears streaming freely now. She told him she would not be someone's convenience, not again. Ji-hoon dropped to one knee, right there in public, without spectacle or pride. He asked her to choose him, not as an arrangement, not as a lie, but as love. And she did. They did not rush. They built something honest. Something strong. Months later, they married quietly, surrounded by people who truly cared. No chandeliers. No false smiles. Just love. Amara often thought back to that wedding night, the humiliation, the pain, the loneliness. She realized that sometimes life has to strip you bare in public so that love can find you when you least expect it. That night was supposed to break her. Instead, it led her home.